Let's start by talking about your weather impacts tomorrow. Could be some pretty big impacts afternoon and evening, at least in some areas, with a threat for some severe storms. Friday, we'll probably take the storm chances out. Could be some more strong storms Saturday. We'll keep an eye on that. Otherwise, next week, we don't see too many impacts for Sunday and into Monday. Its way towards Warika. Warika now under a tornado warning here, too. And that's because this is a big storm. This is a beast, folks. This is a gigantic thunderstorm. And not only, again, do we have the threat for tornadoes periodically being produced, and it is periodically producing tornadoes, we also have the threat that this storm is going to produce wind gusts that will exceed 70 to 80 miles per hour at times. That in itself creates hurricane-like damage. Hurricane force winds. It's also throwing out, spitting out a lot of hail in addition to these brief tornadoes that it's spinning up. This has had a history of producing a long track, violent tornado. I see this is going to be your strong, warm inflow into the storm. There is your tornado just north of Highway 82. It's wrapped in range. It's hard to see, but same tornado that flattened Matador. Matador, Texas, has withstood some significant damage, and it definitely looks like we have what looks like a week, at least a weak couplet, weak circulation there, maybe a little weak tornado on the south side of Warika. And the thing that the landmark everybody's familiar with in Warika is the truck stop, which would be kind of right in that area. So this is just barely a hair south, or really close to the truck stop there in the town of Warika. We'll see. I've got the storm chase feed up. Let's go back to Darren Beaver. It looks like he's got something there on his feed, and this is going to be, remember I was talking about that truck stop. Looks like he's there, and it looks like to me he's got a low-hanging wall cloud there on that thunderstorm. You can see how low it is to the ground. I don't see a tornado. Hail size is increasing along Kell Boulevard. Let's stop this from moving now. Hail size is increasing out on the western and southwestern side of town. Kell Boulevard, we're seeing some increase in hail sizes towards Southwest Parkway. This would be out by Memorial Stadium. This would be very, very close to Ryder High School. So very, very rarely do you see this kind of instability with some high-level flow that creates ventilation like this. So it allows the storm to be able to continuously feed off of all that energy. It just continues to just feed and feed and feed and gobble it up. So when it does produce hail, it's bigger hail because it's stronger. When it does produce winds, it's bigger winds because it's stronger. All that momentum going up. But when it produces tornadoes, they can be stronger too, especially if they have a way to create that spin in the atmosphere. So we had it all that came together in small mesoscale boundaries. We call it mesoscale, small weather features, and that's what caused this storm to become a beast. High instability, enough shear in the atmosphere to create that ventilation, and then you had that spin with the outflow boundary that created this monster. Let's take a look at fall temperatures and fall precipitation, because you know what? Meteorologically, I know this gets confusing. This is not on the calendar, not from an astronomy standpoint. This is in the World Weather Records. Meteorological fall ended at midnight last night, or 11:59, and meteorological winter started at midnight last night. If we look back, every month, September, October, and November, above average on temperatures. Most months below average on rainfall, the exception being during the month of October, when we were above average by a good bit. If we take a look at the fall average temperature, 68, that's 4 degrees above average. That's significant. That is a significant number. And rainfall, we needed to do better with this, folks, and we didn't. 1.72. We're in this El Nino weather pattern, and everybody's thinking cooler than average and wetter than average. But if you watch Cameron, we've done some research that suggests that might not be the case this winter. We could actually be a little bit above average on temperatures and below average on rainfall. That could continue. It's because it's a strong El Nino. Strong El Nino oftentimes has less impact on our weather here than a weaker El Nino. So maybe next spring, as it begins to weaken, that might be when we see our bigger impact. Okay, we're at the Family Fun Zone. Remember, we were here a couple weeks ago. We were just talking about, some possible changes, some new things on the way. Well, those new things are here. I got some pretty cool stuff over here behind me. They got this dodgeball. They got several new video games. They got some really cool stuff. And they're also doing some new things to the birthday room in there. They got some new prices on that. They're expanding in there. And coming up in a few minutes, we'll talk to the general manager about prices and what they're doing in those areas. And also talk about these new games that are also being displayed. And if you look over there, that young man right there looks pretty familiar, playing skee ball. I think that might be Cameron Lindsay. I think that might be our weekend meteorologist. I think that's Cameron over there playing skee ball. Oh, looks like he's having a lot of fun, right? All right. This
Alert forecast on News Channel 6.
Okay, the month of October over with. We've entered into November. Hard to believe we're in November now. Average temperature in the month of October was 66.6. That's 2 degrees above average. Rainfall was about between about 4.25 and 4.5 officially here in the Falls, and that was about an inch or just under an inch and a half above average. Many other places across Texoma saw a lot more rainfall than that. A live look, beautiful sunshine here behind me in Vernon. Temperature is going to be chilly again this evening, but doesn't look as cold as the last couple of nights. Likewise here in Burkburnett, clear skies, currently running in the upper 50s. We'll drop down into the 40s, I think, over the next several hours. So if you're going to be out and about, you'll need a bit of a jacket. But again, it won't be as cold as the last couple of nights. 59 down in Graham, getting close to 60. Tomorrow, everybody, I think, will be in the 60s. Really seeing a nice weather pattern as we get into early November. A live look in the Falls, 59 here, 32% humidity, winds there out of the south at about 14 miles per hour. That wind increases some as we head towards the weekend. High pressure, the same one that brought the chilly weather over the last couple days, is located east of us now. Remember, clockwise winds around high pressure. We're on the backside, and now we're seeing south winds. They're on the increase, and the south wind will continue to increase over the next couple of days as low pressure develops over the Rocky Mountain states. And with these south winds will come an increase in temperatures. Look across the region. It's not as cold as it has been. We've been looking at numbers in the 30s, 40s, and 50s at this hour. But as of right now, we're looking back to the west, and some places even up close to 70 in southwestern parts of Kansas now. And it's this building mild weather back here that will spread our way starting tomorrow, Friday, and into the weekend. We get back into the warm weather pattern, back to the good stuff. So the warming trend tomorrow, breezy mild Friday, warm and windy on Saturday, breezy warm on Sunday, and we stay warm into early next week. There is a weak front on the way maybe towards the middle of next week that may cool us off a little, but it doesn't look like it's going to bring a lot in the way of cold weather. 31 tonight in Lawton, 32 in Waurika, 32 in the Falls, 32 Graham, 32 Bridgeport, Henrietta, 33 out west, maybe some 34s. The last couple nights we've been down to about 28 degrees, so these numbers are a little bit warmer than the previous 2 nights. So tomorrow morning we start off with those 30s. Lunchtime temperature 58. By the time the kiddos come home from school in the afternoon, 63. So tomorrow afternoon, not a bad day. Get those kids outside once they're through with their homework and tell them to ride a bike or something and then just enjoy. That's what we did back when I was a kid in the 80s and 90s. We rode a bike when we got home from school and we got through with our homework. 66 in Vernon, 67 in Archer City, 64 in Duncan, 66 Henrietta tomorrow. So a lot of places tomorrow mid to maybe even upper 60s. I think Friday most places are in the 70s. This is why we see a milder weather pattern into November. We look at the jet stream. There's 2 of them we look at. The one you see across Canada, this is called the polar jet. That keeps the real cold air locked up into Canada. The one we're looking at down to the south, this is over the Pacific Ocean. It's called the Pacific jet. And this flow of air doesn't bring our air from the Arctic regions. Instead, it brings our air from the Pacific regions of the world, and that means milder weather conditions. And this is a faster flow in the atmosphere, and this usually means dry weather too. So at least early November, above average temperatures with below average rainfall. As we head towards about 2 weeks from now, let's say a week from this Saturday, we still see mild weather, but this pattern here, as we see a dip in the jet stream out west and some tropical moisture from the Pacific trying to come up, could give us our next round of rain. But until then, we're going to enjoy some really nice, mild, early November weather. Sneezing forecast, not too bad there. Maybe a little bit higher as we get towards the weekend. Not a lot of sneezing going on. I don't know, but this time of year, it doesn't matter what the counts are. I usually start seeing my allergies kind of flare up some. Low 70s tomorrow, mid to upper 70s, close to 80 over the weekend, early next week. But that's looking at my 7-day forecast here. Just no big signs of cold weather, at least for the next 7 days.